Hi, Laura. Can I sit here?
No, keep moving, nerd. What? Yes, you can sit here.
All right.
Welcome back to Love and Junk. This is our back to school mukbang, mukbang, whatever you want to call it.
Back to school special.
Yeah, that's right. Not an after school special.
No.
that's for a different time.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be fun to celebrate back to school a little bit and talk about childhood memories from school.
Yeah.
And so we have both a cold lunch and a hot lunch.
Hot lunch.
Why don't you run through what we have on our hot lunch?
On our hot lunch, well, of course, we have to start off with the iconic rectangular pizza.
Yeah.
We've got some tots. We've got some corn. We've got our fruit cup and our chocolate milk.
Yep. And we'll get into our sack lunch later. But
Yeah.
let's eat the hot stuff while it's hot. What do you think?
Let's get to getting.
Okay. So if we were in school, what was the first thing that you would do?
Like what I would eat first?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably the pizza. I'd probably let the corn just sit there. I mean, I like corn, but, you know, school corn that sits around in all the water and everything.
Isn't it funny? Okay, let's just get started. First thing I would do is open my milk.
Yeah, open your milk.
We have chocolate milk, and I am not a big. So when I was in school, I would drink chocolate milk, but now that I'm grown, I don't know how adult I am, but now that I'm grown, chocolate milk is like a dessert. I hardly ever drink it, but when I do, I kind of want it by itself. Chocolate milk on the side of all of this seems weird, not thirst quenching to me.
Yeah.
But whatever.
But whatever. So, and just like in school, we haven't put any salt or anything on this. So, you got some ketchup for your tots?
Yep.
I do not.
You had the option of having ketchup.
Yeah. No thanks.
I don't always use ketchup. Every once in a while, it sounds good to me. Generally on potatoes.
Was there, what do you remember about your school lunch growing up?
Most of the time, I ate hot lunch.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of those kids that they put out the lunch calendar. I hung it on my refrigerator.
Yeah.
And I definitely, some kids just ate hot lunch all the time or just ate cold lunch all the time. I definitely checked the calendar and knew I was very organized as a child. I'm sure you find that hard to believe. I would hang the calendar on the refrigerator, and I knew when I needed to pack a lunch, and I packed my own lunch.
Oh, nice.
I know you didn't pack your own lunch, I'm sure.
Heck no. Heck no. No, when I was growing up, my elementary school was Lyndon B. Johnson School in Taylor, Michigan. And I went there up to the 5th grade. And then my parents decided to change my schools because our church opened an elementary school. And so I had to go to Catholic school. Had to wear the uniform. It was like blue, like khaki pants, and then a light blue polo.
Yeah.
And I hate that color on me. But, so at LBJ, we had the cafeteria. I would like get in line and everything. And that's really all I remember about the lunch there. Every once in a while I get a sack lunch, but not really. And then,
Did you go by the calendar? Or you were just like, did you go by a calendar of what school was going to have? Or were you just like, today I feel like a sandwich?
I know they had a calendar, but I don't know. I wasn't that specific with things, so I have no clue.
I also find that shocking.
But when I switched to St. Pascal's, they didn't have a cafeteria, and it was a new school, so they'd set up the tables and stuff, and we'd bring in our sack lunch, and so we would eat that. But it was like every Thursday or Friday, just like over at the other school, we had to have the rectangle pizza. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
What school did you go to?
Well, I went to Cody Elementary School in LeClaire, Iowa, home of the American Pickers. And I really enjoyed elementary school. I was really, really smart as a kid. Not to brag. I mean, when I was a little kid, like before I started school, I was really, really, really smart. I think it's because the next oldest kid in my family we're 10 years apart. So I was always around adults when I was little. And I remember being tested, like for talented and gifted and that kind of thing, and I was really smart. At some point, it caught up with me. I want to say around 4th grade. That
Everybody else caught up.
Whatever advancement I had on everybody else, it caught up, and then I was just an average student. But I was smart for a while. But I loved school. I think because I was so lonely when I was little. When I was really little, there was no kids in the neighborhood, and we lived in a new subdivision at the time. My parents built the house when they found out they were having me. When I was really little, there was no other kids. Kids moved into the neighborhood, later in life. But when I was really little, it was just, I hung out with my mom and whatever. So I could not wait to start school to make friends. I did go to preschool with a little boy that my mom babysat and another little girl I met in preschool, and I really enjoyed that. So I couldn't wait to start school and see what it was all about. And I loved it. I loved back to school every year, all the supplies, and I was such a girly girl. I had to have all the markers and crayons, and I would set it all out and pack my backpack, and I loved all of that.
I remember the only thing that I really, really wanted was one of those cool trapper keepers that had that Velcro on it, and that was cool. I always wanted one of those, and then you had to pick it each year because you got a different, the A-Team or Knight Rider, you get a different theme.
And now when we watch videos about back to school, the ones that we've seen, like some of the family vloggers and stuff, they really decorate their locker. We've seen chandeliers and rugs and all kinds of craziness.
Yeah, disco balls.
In elementary school, lockers don't lock, right? That starts in junior high. It did for me. Elementary school, you don't lock your lockers.
I didn't have lockers in elementary school.
What?
Yeah,
Where'd you
no
put your
lockers.
backpack?
You hung it up. There was hooks.
In the room?
Yeah. You hung up your coat, and you hung up your backpack.
If you have winter boots and stuff, they're all just lined up in the room?
Pretty much.
Wow. So let me get this straight. If we were in school, I'd never be touching this corn.
Why?
Because my parents had a huge garden when I was growing up. I never had canned corn ever that I remember. They always canned their own or froze their own corn.
Yeah.
And so I remember trying, and I loved corn. I remember trying it at school, and I was like, this doesn't taste like corn.
When I was a kid, I never would have touched this fruit cup.
I don't know if I'm so excited about it right now.
All right.
But, I would probably eat the pizza, tater tots, and milk for sure. But did your school have a rule you had to eat you had to try everything, you had to eat so much, or did they monitor it at all?
I don't think so.
They did that mine.
Yeah, I don't think they could force people to
So
do
people were always scooting their stuff around so it looked like you had tried stuff, or try to hide stuff in your napkin.
Jumping all on somebody else's.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of that going around.
I do remember school lunch in high school, and of course we went to high school together, so you remember that as well. We had those punch cards. So we had a green punch card if it was just a hot lunch, and then a pink one, and you get a milkshake with it. Remember that? And I remember we would go into the lunchroom, we'd sit and have lunch, but the horticulture class had plants all around the room, and they had renovated the high school, so there was this great big huge like cinder block wall on one side. And so these guys that I ate lunch with were all pranksters and everything, and so they would, like, a lot of times that great big wall would just be covered in pickles. And so these guys would sit there and look around, and like when the lunch lady monitor wasn't looking, they would sling these pickles up and they would stick to the walls. Another guy named Anthony, he would come around to the horticulture plants and he would pick one up. When everybody was like done eating, he would just walk by, grab it by the stem, pick it up out of the pot, and it was like some sort of a swamp plant. And this incredible stench that would roll across the cafeteria was horrible, but that was his prank. He did all the time.
I didn't sit by Johnny lunch.
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the cafeteria.
She told me no.
I was on the other side of the cafeteria. Yeah, so I guess I don't know about any of that.
You're like, seats taken.
What I loved about high school lunch is then you started developing choices, right? I don't remember much about junior high lunch. But in high school, we had choices. So it might be pizza or a...
Hamburger?
Yeah, let's say hamburger. I think we had hamburgers every day, I want to say. That was always a choice. But also, where I ate, they had a salad bar, and there could have been soup, but I know there was always baked potatoes on there. And what I loved is you could make a salad, but I always made a hoagie every day. So you could use the salad bar ingredients and either eat it as a salad or make a sandwich out of it. And that's what I did almost every single day.
Wow.
I was made a hoagie sandwich.
Making no sandwich.
Hmm?
I said I wasn't making no salad or sandwich or... No. I think it was pretty much a burger every day.
And those milkshakes. They had like M&Ms and stuff you could put in them too.
I think that was towards the end. I don't remember having M&Ms. I just remember chocolate.
You probably didn't know about it. That would be my guess. John is very sweet and doesn't ask questions. I'm the kind of person that's like, I want my money's worth. I see somebody else with M&Ms and I'm like, hey, where'd you get that?
I just remember there was like one kid, he never had a lunch. He would just come and not have like a punch card or anything, but he would go to lunch and like sit with everybody. Sometimes he would borrow my punch card and like go and get a lunch or something. I'd give it to him to go get a lunch. And then other times he would just be like, hey man, can I have a bite of that hamburger?
Oh, gross.
Yeah. And I was always like, no, man, here's...
Nobody's taking a bite of my hamburger.
Here's this punch card, go get your own. Because I would watch him sometimes and somebody would be like, yeah, here, have a bite. And he would take like a bite that was like a third of the burger, and then he would pull it away and you would see this like... Yeah.
Wait. So anybody that says I'm being mean about I didn't sit with John at lunch, now you know why. I may not sit with John at lunch anymore here in our life either. Gross!
Yeah.
You need to edit yourself. Nobody wants to hear about that while they're talking or eating.
Well, I'm just
or while they're talking or while they're doing
stories.
anything else. Gross.
Yeah. All the memories. Rectangle pizza's good.
What'd you think of your chocolate milk?
Good.
Side note, we had to go, they don't have these at Walmart, which is where we typically do the majority of our grocery shopping. Also Aldi's for some stuff, and also Hy-Vee for some stuff. And neither Aldi's or Walmart has milk in cartons anymore. That's a thing of the past. In fact, though, when we were kids, I wonder if they did too. I mean, you got them at school, but
Right.
I wonder if they even sold them in little cartons when we were kids. I don't know. You always drink milk out of a jug when you're at home. You don't think about looking for the little cartons.
Right. Let's see about this fruit
I
cup.
wonder how many people drink milk like that. If you're not in school, do you ever buy do kids, I mean, I understand parents probably do that for kids, but do kids ever choose milk? You know,
I think so.
you're at a convenience store and you can get anything you want. Is milk ever a kid's first choice? I mean, I understand, like, parents will say you have to have milk, but do kids pick that? I don't know.
I don't know. I did when I was a kid.
You did? Over pop? Yeah. I would over pop.
Sometimes.
I would pick juice, though, if I was a kid, over anything. Or this kind of sugary thing when I was a kid.
Weird. Fruit cup, it smells good. It smells like cherry, but it looks more like Jello, and I hate.
That's Jello with fruit for
I hate
sure.
fruit and Jello.
Did your mom make that when you were a kid?
Sometimes, but most of the time she would keep the fruit out of it.
My mom always put fruit in it. And I'd eat around it. And then she'd be
I know.
go back and eat the fruit.
That I would do that too. All right. Let's see what we got here.
Also, you hated it as a kid, but I don't think I've had Jello with fruit in it as an adult. Your tastes change.
Yeah. They sure do.
Notice I let you sit with me.
Yeah, your tastes change.
Were you one of those kids that were you serious about eating your lunch and you wanted to eat your lunch, or were you like, let's go to lunch, mess around with stuff? Oh, I see people going to recess, and then you were like done.
Yeah, that was me.
What did you do at recess? Do you remember? Like in elementary school, what did you do?
I remember that we like run around and play Star Wars on the pew pew pew.
Yeah.
Run around and like chase each other. You're dead. No, you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Did you have
remember
a
that.
good like playground?
As far as I remember, it was okay. You know, the usual. They had those like the playground equipment that it seemed like it was made with railroad ties or something. You know, it had the bars through it and different jungly in a slide and.
I remember. I don't remember how old I was, but we had a couple of things: monkey bars, a regular slide. We had some swings. I remember there was a boat, an old fishing boat that we would play in, like a big like flat bottom kind of thing.
Yeah.
We jump in and out of there. People would always want to play Jaws, and I hated that.
Mm.
You know, it'd be like the boat would be safe and everybody would be chasing you. That was like a big thing. But what I was going to say is I remember, I could have been 3rd or 4th grade. I don't remember. We saved, I don't think it was Campbell's soup labels. I don't remember. But for a couple of years, we were saving stuff. Maybe it was Campbell's soup
It
labels.
was. I mean,
And
that was
we got a tornado slide when I was like in 3rd
the
grade, maybe.
tornado slide.
And that was like, it was, you would think it was a theme park. They had the what do you call it? The recess monitor, whatever, would have to be at the bottom and yell at people because people would be trampling over people. And that was the big thing when we got the tornado slide.
People be trampling people.
Mm-hmm.
Tornado slide.
Mm-hmm. But when I was older, you know, like 6th grade, practically grown. Or so you thought when you were in 6th grade, right?
Yeah. I'm an adult.
Until you go to junior high and then you're knocked down to nothing, then you're like wet in your bed again.
Right.
Then you're a baby.
Then when you're in 8th grade, you're like, oh, I'm king of the hill, and
Then you get knocked down again. Yeah.
yeah.
When you go to high school. But I remember, what was I talking about? Oh, in 6th grade, I was too cool for school. Me and my friends.
Too cool for school.
Double Dutch ruled the world. We were too big for playing on slides and swings and stuff. Then it was Foursquare kickball, if we could get a lot of people to play, or double dutch. Because I don't know what grade it started. I joined Girl Scouts. And so a lot of the girls that I went to school with were in Girl Scouts. And in Girl Scouts, there's double dutch tournaments.
Yeah.
So we were practicing.
All right.
What?
I don't know.
The hiccups. You know what I loved about elementary school?
What's that?
When we would watch like the Electric Company.
Yeah.
Did you ever do that? They'd wheel in one of those TVs on those big rolly carts, and we'd watch Electric Company like once a week.
I don't think that we really had that, but I did like the movie time at school, like at science or whatever, and they would bring in like the old school projectors, and they'd have the film and have to feed that thing, and when they turn
Did
it
your
off,
teachers always get mad too? Because there's always like technical. My teacher, they're always like not cussing, but you can tell they're always like frustrated. Like, why won't this work? And
yeah, it's like, and it
I love
starts
like ASMR. That sound of a movie projector starting.
Yeah, that was cool, and that was awesome. They turned the lights off, and like you can finally breathe for a minute and relax.
I love that too. I was really good at reading in school. I remember we had a book reading contest, book report contest. You had to read a book, draw a picture from the book, and a little paragraph about what it was about.
Yeah.
And and they hung up these little things around the room with your name on it. And as soon as I knew, like that was in first grade. I remember being in first grade and being such an overachiever. I was like, I get my name on a little apple or whatever it was. So everybody else had like 1 or 2, and like by the end of the first week, I had like 10. I was like, "There's a competition at school." Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta get to reading.
I didn't have a life when I was home because I didn't have siblings and whatever. I was just like reading, writing, drawing pictures, reading another book, drawing another picture. Yeah. And I won. And I remember I got a banana split from the local ice cream shop. And I probably read, I don't know, 50 books or something.
I remember, like in maybe 7th grade, I had to do a book report on something. Like I had to read just whatever book and then give a book report in front of the class. And man, I was so nervous. And obviously I didn't understand like how much to present or anything, because I'm pretty sure I probably spent maybe 60 to 70% of the entire class time on my one book report.
So what if I was in 4th grade? Oh, I got it.
Yeah, what if you were in 4th grade?
Don't you remember that? Having to open crap is like...
Yeah.
Like when your milk doesn't open.
Yeah. Or you accidentally open it backwards and it doesn't open right, and then you gotta try to rip it open and it looks all horrible. And
I got it. Ooh, that does smell good. Anyway, as you were.
yeah, I was just saying that I spent like 70% of the entire class time giving my one book report. And like everybody was like falling asleep and bored. I really liked that book, but
Remember what it was?
No, I don't remember what it was. But
When you're in elementary school, did your teachers read to you?
yeah,
That was my favorite part of school.
mine too. In the first book, and the only book that I remember is James and the Giant Peach.
Our teacher read us that
Yeah,
too.
I loved that.
I remember Charlotte's Web because I had to leave the room
Why? Because
because I got hysterical.
okay.
You've read that book, right?
I've seen the cartoon.
Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but let's just say.
Oh, I know.
Let's just say it's sad at the end. I was all traumatized. I was into that book. I had never heard it before. I started I was inconsolable. She's like, "Why don't we go out in the hall and?"
I remember playing some.
Gosh.
You don't like it?
Nope.
I remember like we had some stupid game that we played in elementary school.
Where you put your head down
Yeah, you gotta put your head down.
and you put your thumb up.
I don't know nothing about that.
Mm.
No, the teacher would send like everybody puts their head down, and the teacher would come by and like tap two of the students on their shoulder or wherever, and then they would like, put their head up and look around, and the two students would then they put the two students in the closet together, and then the other students, once they're in the closet, like kind of get to put their head up and look around, and then the class has to figure out who's in the closet. That was
We
weird.
did heads up, 7-Up, and I want to say we put our heads down, we had our thumb up. Somebody would come around. If they touched us, we had to put our thumb down. And then I don't know the point. I don't know what happened after that. I thought you were going to say the same thing.
Well, we might have played that, but I kind of remember that. But.
You know what I hated the most about elementary school? Like, I remember hating this.
School.
I wonder if they do the same thing. Those timed. So we're 47. So if you're about our age and older and younger, I'm sure you remember those, like, I don't know how many problems, like 100 problem math timed. You have a minute, you have 2 minutes, however long, and go and see how many of those you can get through. I hated those.
I liked that when it was just like, what's 4 plus 5? I was like, oh yeah, I got this. And then they added, then you got 2 digits, then you got 3 digits. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I hated that.
Yeah.
That would give me anxiety. All right, you want to see what's in our sack lunches?
Yeah, let's see what's in our sack lunch.
First, we have a drink. These are Kool-Aid Jammers. Now, here's another thing with the delivery system here. I don't know how this will be. This would, by the way, this is so typical of what my thing would look like when I was a kid. That corn, though, wouldn't have been eaten. It would have been shifted around. There would have been corn hiding in my ketchup or whatever.
You would have stuffed it in your milk carton.
Maybe. Ooh, I got mine. Did you get yours?
First try?
Yeah. Wow. Grape sugar water.
See? I did it again. Punched through the backside. I got too much strength now as an adult.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is.
It's too much strength and not enough coordination. There we go. Whew, that was a lot. Alright. I had my sack lunch. Oh, let me put a little note in. Oh, look at this. Have a good day. I love you. XOXO. Aw, that's sweet.
Did your mom ever put a note in your lunch?
Yeah, every once in a while. I think I made her do it.
My mom never did because I packed my own lunches.
Oh, let's see
Maybe
what
when I was really little.
Oh, I love these things. And a sandwich.
So, we both
What
had.
were you saying when you were little? Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I just said, I don't think she did because I always packed my lunch. Maybe when I was really little, like first grade or something, but I don't remember her putting a note on my stuff. That would be a me thing.
Yeah, you would have done that with your kids?
One of them. The other one would have had it. Can you see if I put a note in Zane's lunchbox? He would have come home stomping in. Never do that again. I have a reputation.
Yep.
So, chips.
Chips.
And then I have a Swiss cake roll, which is very typical of what I would have had for dessert at that time.
Yeah. I would have had a Swiss cake roll. But what I have are these cinnamon graham crackers with frosting in between them. And I remember that I was at school one time and one of the kids shared one of those with me and I was like, oh, I want that. So I asked my mom to make it for me and then she started putting them in my lunch. And I liked it.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
When you were a kid, were you a cut the crust off kid? I think I know the answer to that.
not necessarily. I didn't like the top crust.
I don't
on
either. I
bread.
still don't like it.
I did not like that, and so I would take that off. But the rest of it, I didn't care about. I like this part, my dad always told me that this is the way you eat a sandwich. Like this is the top, and that's the way you have to eat it. And I always ate it this way because I liked this part, but I didn't like this part.
I always usually cut a sandwich. I don't even know if I should say this because what if somebody in the mental health field is watching? I generally take a sandwich, rip it in half, and then end up ripping it into other shapes. Squares and it ends up being little tiny pieces I'm putting in my mouth. I don't know why. I did it when I was little. At some point I choked. When I was in junior high, I choked on something, and so I know from then on, it had to have the Heimlich done on me. So then, ever since then, I've been very aware of
Bite size and
yeah, because that was really scary. But anyway, so what I have to tell you about this is I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then
special peanut butter.
Special peanut butter because I'm allergic to nuts. You hear me say that all the time. So I've not had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in, I don't know, years. It has to be grape jelly or it's not peanut butter and jelly. It's me.
Yeah. I have a bologna sandwich because basically when I was a kid, I was a very picky eater, and that is all that I would eat. And I can't stand it now as an adult. I took a bite and I'm like, oh God, the memories. But what I would do as a kid is I would put my chips on my sandwich and I would like it better. What? You like that? You like that?
I haven't had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in so long.
Do you like it?
It's good.
We should get that stuff. We got the Wow peanut butter, but it's not peanut butter. It's like
Let's just say it's peanut butter.
all right.
It's probably like soy something, right?
No, I think it's made out of sunflowers, but
Sorry about that, people.
it smelled like peanut butter for sure.
You want to bite?
No, thank you. And yeah, that's nice that you could have that. I'm glad we have that now.
You have to understand, peanut butter, not just peanut butter, peanuts, nuts in general is one of my favorite foods. And I found my nut allergy as an adult. I used to eat peanut butter toast every day. And then one morning I was too busy and I just ran out the door and I was like, holy cow, I feel so much better. I have asthma too, so I didn't realize, I just thought my asthma was really bad. I didn't realize that I was getting triggered all the time from eating peanut butter toast. And I was like, what was different about my life today that I don't feel this way? So I started food journaling and I found it. And my life has sucked ever since.
But you've been able to breathe, so that's a good thing.
Right. So that's why the emotion, I think.
Yeah,
But it's good.
that's good.
It's a little, it's different than peanut butter. But when you haven't had it for a long time, good enough.
Close enough, huh? So you made your own lunch.
When I was a kid. And usually, my mom would get me those things of chips that had the little bags of chips.
Yeah.
Did your mom get those?
Yep. Yeah.
Me and my sister both like Cheetos. And so I remember, when that bag the box was new, fighting over who was going to get Cheetos. We're 10 years apart, so it only happened a couple of years, but still. We both always wanted the Cheetos.
Would you never eat your sack lunch? I think I remember sometimes.
I always ate something.
Yeah. I remember sometimes like taking a sack lunch to school, and like I said, the bologna, I don't know, but I wouldn't eat anything else. So I remember like not eating the sandwich. I would eat like the dessert and the chips and stuff like that, and like leave the sandwich, and then like at the end of the school year, I'd take my backpack home and all this stuff, and then you'd find like mushed up bags in the bottom of the.
Gross! Why wouldn't you throw it away at school? Boys are gross, am I right? Boys are just gross, and we've got a lot of boys in our family, and they're all gross.
Sure are.
I mean, they do gross things.
Let's see, what else can I talk about?
Plus somebody can find that. Girls are crafty. They destroy the evidence at school. Duh.
Yeah, my mom wasn't happy when she found out about that, of course.
I say that boys are gross. This has nothing to do with school lunch, but something gross I've done.
Okay.
Growing up, we had to eat not everything on our plate, but we had to try everything. Or you couldn't get done.
Okay.
You could eat all of it if you wanted to, but you had to at least try it. Or eat an acceptable amount. And so if I just sat there and refused to eat whatever it was, I was going to sit there until I did. So,
I had to do that too.
So my sister, who's 10 years older than me, like I've said, sat across the table from me. My dad here, my mom there. And I sat kind of like how we are here. There's a buffet. And when I was little, there was a hutch there. My sister had a cat and I had a dog. And very often, the cat would be next to her, the dog would be next to me. And we had liver and onions. I will never forget this as long as I live. So I don't know how old I was when I had this. I mean, I was probably in elementary school. And I remember my sister throwing her liver and onions on the floor and her cat eating it. And my dad had got up from the table, went into the living room to watch Wheel of Fortune or whatever, and my mom was going between doing the dishes and watching TV with my dad, maybe coming out on commercials or whatever. So I see my sister throw the liver to her cat, cat eats it, she gets up, gets rid of her stuff. And I was like, heck, I'm gonna do that. Chunk. And my dog walks over, sniffs it, and turned and walked away. Just as my mom came around the corner in the living room, there's my liver on the floor. She picked it up off the floor and put it back on my plate and told me I still had to eat it. I remember crying because I could see like dog hair or whatever on it because it had been on the floor. So then I remember I took it and I put it in my napkin and I wadded it up and I chucked it behind the hutch and I was like, I'm done, and I left. Well, when my parents decided to move, when I was expecting my youngest, so however many years later, 20 years later, 18 years later, whatever, we had to move that hutch and I had forgot about that. And there was this, it had disintegrated pretty much, but there was this big mold spot on the wall. I couldn't get in trouble then, I thought, but I still did.
Yeah, and you thought my having mushed up sandwich bags in the bottom of my book bag was bad.
Yeah. I was so mad at that dog. And then I tried to call my sister's cat over. And then my dad was like, what are you doing out there? And I was like, nothing. And I was like, trying to call it. And it was like, you know how cats are. Screw you. I'm a cat. I'm doing cat stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was a kid, I had to do that too. Like sit I had to sit at the table and I would probably eat like most of my stuff except I wouldn't eat the green beans. And I like green beans well enough, but not when they got cold. And they get cold because I let them sit there. So then my parents would make me sit at the table until I ate more of my green beans. I didn't have to eat them all, but like my mom would check and be like, that's not good enough. You have to eat some more, or eat 2 more, or eat this, or whatever. And I just remember it being cold, and it was before microwaves. So, I mean, like, we didn't have a microwave in our house. I'm sure they were around. And so it was still cold, and you couldn't heat it up any. And I remember I would, like, chew, and I would have the one piece in my mouth, and it would last there forever. And it made me feel like I was going to get sick. And then other times...
John's a cookie eater.
Then other times you just move it around on your plate and make it look like you've eaten more.
I know that trick.
Yeah. Oh no.
So did your parents wait at the table with you? Like if you were being stubborn and no, I'm not eating my green beans, did they wait there to make sure you did, or did they just go about their life and come back and check on you and you were like, I'm done, and they had to come look?
Yeah, they would. Like my mom would be doing stuff like in the kitchen or, you know, whatever, but my dad, he was up, he was watching TV. He had a routine. Growing up when I was a kid, we had to eat 5 o'clock on the nose. Mm-hmm.
Was your kitchen next to, like, could your mom see you when she was in the kitchen doing stuff, or no?
Yeah. The house.
So you couldn't, like, get away with stuff like I could if she was in the same room. Did you ever try to feed your food to your dog?
Oh, I'm sure. But, you know, I didn't want to. I think I did that once, and then I was caught, and so she gave me more, like green beans. Mm-hmm. And I did not want that. But we had, the house I had in Michigan, we had no dining room. It was just like an eat-in kitchen. Mm-hmm. We had a round table in there that we all ate at. And so the living room, you could see into the kitchen from the living room. But the family room where my dad was at, you couldn't see. So my mom would let me get away with it every once in a while. She would just be like, okay, you're done. You sat there long enough.
I think I'm going to dessert. I'm getting full.
Mm-hmm.
So, let us know in the comments what your favorite school lunch was. I want to say everybody's favorite was the pizza, the square pizza. Or if you took a sack lunch, what was your like go-to?
Yeah, let us know.
I can't eat the same thing all the time. So, I wouldn't have had the same. You know, some people can eat a ham and cheese sandwich every single day. And there were kids like that. Every single day, the same thing.
That was me.
And I am not that at all.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
Mm-hmm. Should have saved that chocolate milk.
I still have some.
Hey, look at that.
That's a good snack.
Down.
Did you ride a bus when you were a kid to school, or you walked?
I walked or rode my bike. And then first time I rode a bus was in middle school, 7th grade. I mean, you know, we took buses on field trips and stuff like that.
Right. I always rode a bus.
I remember taking a bus to the Detroit Zoo and going around with the school at the zoo. That was an awesome day. I love that. And I remember you could buy these little elephant keys and you go around to different places in there and you could put the key in and then it'll tell you stuff. Mm-hmm. I wanted one of those keys so bad.
You didn't get one?
No, not when we went with the school, but I think when I went with my parents or whatever, then I got one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but why didn't you just pal up with somebody who got one?
Oh, I did. You know, enough of those kids had them. You just follow them around. But
Yeah.
you don't get the act of putting it in.
Yeah. I am stuffed.
Mm-hmm.
So, we just thought this would be fun, our own way to celebrate back to school.
Yeah.
Where empty nesters don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Nope.
We do live, if you've watched our videos about our house backs up to an elementary school. And so there's our yard and then a little pathway for the kids to get to school. And then there's a whole green space.
Baseball field and stuff like that.
Right. So we live in a neighborhood with a school. So back to school does not really affect us other than when kids get out of school, there's a lot of traffic on our street. But
Yeah.
otherwise.
A lot of parents park like in front of our house
Right.
and wait for their kid, and so, well, we've got somebody at the door.
Oh, just a minute. We'll be back. He was trying to call. We'll just.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that. So anyway, so back to school doesn't really affect us any kind of way other than a little bit of extra traffic in the front. But we thought this would be fun to reminisce and go back and talk about what we had for hot lunch, what we had for cold lunch, and
Yep.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so like we said, leave a note in the comments. Let us know if you had hot lunch or cold lunch. Oh, I know what we didn't talk about. I have to say this really quick. So this would have never been me in elementary school. Never, ever, ever. I always
Brown paper
had.
bag?
Yes, never. I always had to have a new backpack and a new lunchbox. And so it was whatever, of course, everybody's like this, whatever was the new hot show. I remember having a Dukes of Hazzard one, and I had a Star Wars one, and
Yeah, I think I had a Star Wars one.
I remember my dad always saying stuff to me like, why can't you use your lunchbox that you had last year? Huh, that was last year. Duh.
Let's beat the hell.
Yeah. So, anyways.
All right.
I guess that's it. So don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. What are you waiting for? We love
Thumbs
our new
up.
subscribers. Give us a thumbs up if you like lunch, or if you're like our age and you're happy about back to school. Your kids leaving the house for a while every day. And that's it, right?
That's
Oh,
it.
the little bell. Don't forget the little bell
Yeah.
so you can be notified when we do put out new content.
That's right.
That's right. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.